The influence of Friedrich Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche is an influential during his own lifetime, and his work suffered considerable distortion on the hands of his sister Elizabeth Foster Nietzsche. The influence of Friedrich Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche was notoriously unread and uninfluential during his own lifetime, and his work suffered considerable distortion in the hands of his sister Elizabeth, who managed his literary estate and twisted his philosophy into a set of ideas supporting Hitler and Nazism. And Hitler had the work of Nietzsche's The Spoke Zarathustra, which is issued to every soldier of the German army. And if there's one philosopher the fascists of mid 20th century love, it was Friedrich Nietzsche. He was so adored by them that Hitler gifted Mussolini the complete works of Nietzsche for his birthday. The Nietzschean ideals of anti-egalitarianism, the Superman, and the will of power inspired them to act, and millions of people died because of it. They adored his ideas and anointed him as the prophet of their ideology. Sadly, most of it was due to misunderstandings and willful changes. Nietzsche's philosophy is actually purposely difficult to read, like, first, his criticisms of the slave morality. He credits the Jewish people with inventing can seem like an anti Semitic rant from time to time, when in reality his attacks are on their ideas, not on the people, because actually he saw the Jews as powerful people with fine culture. Second, the Superman's idea was not a racial concept but rather a spiritual one. And third, he claimed that the Germans were great because of the Polish blood in their veins, yet he saw German nationalism as a dangerous joke. So, how did he become to be the Nazis' philosopher? It is because Nietzsche was hijacked. Elizabeth Foster Nietzsche, Friedrich's sister, was reportedly an intelligent woman. Her husband was an anti Semite who Friedrich couldn't stand. She took over Friedrich's estate when his descent into madness. She was then able to selectively edit new versions of his works and created the entire book, The Will to Power, with his unused notes, in a way to emphasize the bits that fit with her political ideology. And she even had remarkable ability to remember conversations with Nietzsche supported her ideology. Then she even met Hitler in the early 1930s when Hitler visited the museum, Nietzsche's museum, that she operated. Then, how did Nietzsche get used by the Nazis? Nazis sought great Germans to represent when justifying their new regime. Nietzsche, with the changes made to his philosophy by his sister, became the primary thinker for those Nazis looking to justify their beliefs with philosophy. German universities taught Nietzsche as part of courses on the New Order. References to soldiers being the Overmensch, or the ideal superior of the future who could rise above conventional Christian morality to create and impose his own values. It is described in Nietzsche's work Thus Spoke Zarathustra. Overmensch were common, and the will to power was adopted by the Nazis as a key psychological insight. The philosopher Alfred Bumler claimed Nietzsche had prophesied the rise of Hitler and fascism in Germany. After the war, American philosopher Walter Kaufmann works discredited the idea. So, Elizabeth Foster Nietzsche was able to pull it off without understanding the ideas involved. All she had was the proper legal rights and some convenient events working for her. All of it happened despite Nietzsche's friends objecting to it, and people who had lectured on his works before he went mad did nothing. Yet, Nietzsche's influence has been much richer and varied than these simple stereotypes suggest. And it is not surprising that an author who embraced such contradictions should have influenced thinkers of an extraordinary variety. In terms of philosophy, Nietzsche's influenced Danish critic and philosopher George Brandes, who is in the late 1880s developed a philosophy which he called aristocratic radicalism, inspired by Nietzsche's notion of the overman. Nietzsche's insistence that the decay of religion, the death of God, requires that humanity take responsibility for setting its own moral standards inspired existentialists from Karl Jaspers and Martin Heidegger to Albert Camus, while Nietzsche's relativism has had a powerful influence on the two of the most important modern French deconstructionist philosophers, Jacques Derrida and Michel Foucault. While in the field of psychology, the two grandfathers of modern psychology, Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung, both had a deep admiration for Nietzsche and credited him with many insights into the human character. On the other hand, in the field of fiction, Thomas Mann, who wrote repeatedly about him and his characters, are often engaged in struggles to define their ideas in a world in which old philosophies are decaying, like Nietzsche, torn between romanticism and rationalism. As well in drama, Nietzsche has influence. George Bernard Shaw expressed his version of Nietzsche's struggle for power in his play Man and Superman, and more than one character in the plays of Eugene O'Neill is under Nietzsche's spell. Nietzsche also contributes big in influential ideas such as the goal of life should be to find yourself. True maturity means discovering of creating an identity for yourself. Also, knowledge and strength are greater virtues than humility and submission. And people's values are shaped by the cultures they live in. As society changes, we need to change values. We cannot deny the fact that indeed Nietzsche's ideas influence a lot in every aspects of life.
Nietzsche famously said in section 125 of the Gay Science, God is dead. God remains dead, and we have killed him. How can we console ourselves, the murderers of all murderers? The holiest and the mightiest thing the world has ever possessed has bled to death under our knives. Who will wipe this blood from us? With what water could we clean ourselves? What festivals of atonement, what holy games will we have to invent for ourselves? Is the magnitude of this deed not too great for us? Do we not ourselves have to become gods merely to appear worthy of it? What did he truly mean? As an atheist, Nietzsche did not believe in God. So, in the literal sense, he did not believe that God had once existed but was now dead. What Nietzsche was referring to his statement, God is dead, is the general decline of Christianity that was taking place and is still taking place actually. It was directed at the people's ignorance at the ground of morality. As he said, the collapse of our entire European morality. He meant that the God-given values are gone. He saw that Christianity is useful as a means to control people for selfish reasons, whether it to be to achieve personal fulfillment, or to maintain power, or to bring about one's utopian vision. God is dead, and we have killed him. When I did all my readings on Friedrich Nietzsche, I could see myself in it. I have reflected in his work with blood, as he have instructed. Nietzsche gave us a wake-up call to open our eyes and see what is really going on with our society, with our world. You may ask, how do we escape this herd mentality? Nietzsche reminds us, and I quote, "No one can construct for you the bridge upon which precisely you must cross the stream of life. No one but you yourself alone." That's it for our report. Thank you for listening.